Good evening from Teacher Magi. Sudha Ravi here once again. And today evening, as the Navratras have begun, on the second day of the Navratra, we have with us Ruma Purkayastha. Mrs. Ruma Purkayastha was the principal of Naval Public School in Delhi. But more than that, she's a psychologist, an educationist, and a well being mentor. And she brings with her immense amount of knowledge, years of experience, and a passion to help teachers and students.
You froze.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry about that. So, as I was sharing with you, Madam Ruma Purkaistha comes from a psychology background, and she has worked with multiple publishers. She works with teachers. She has done programs for parents, children, and is a passionate trainer, passionate teacher, firstly at heart. And today we have the honor of having her on board as part of our conversation series. I had shared with you that we are planning to do celebrating school as part of an initiative by Teacher Mithai. And this is the second one in the series celebrating.
Are you frozen, Sudha? I can't hear you at all.
Uh, Ruma, are you there?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
there. I'm there.
Sorry, folks, about that. Internet and the connections, something over which we have no control. So probably for a few seconds you couldn't see us. The format of the conversation goes like this. I will be sharing a few thoughts with Ruma, and she would be sharing hers and replying to those questions. So the conversation would go on for about 40 minutes, and then the floor is open. Please feel free to put your questions on the chat. I will take them in between, or I will wait for Ruma to finish what she's saying and then pose the question, or we will try and take a few at the end as well. Yeah. So at the end of 40 minutes, also, please feel free to post your questions, ask questions. So, that being the case, so without much delay, So, welcome, Ruma. Welcome to this Teacher Magi's initiative called
Thank you.
Conversations. And as part of this initiative, and we are today going to talk about school and well being. All around us, we find various state governments announcing that even schools for classes 1 to 8 is going to reopen. We all know that already classes 9 to 12 are in school. So, when we say well being, uh, Ruma, would you like to throw light on how important is this whole thing of well being and why we are here today, even talking about it?
Thank you, Sudha. And thank you for the invite. I'm very happy to be here with Teacher Majai. And I'm hoping that Teacher Majai is going to soar. Uh, I very rightly said, schools are partially open, some more classes are going to come in. There's a lot happening, and there's a lot being talked about, and there's a lot of speculation. Everything is going on. Wellness, well-being. We generally tend to use the words, interchangeably. I think that's the crux of life. Well-being. I mean, before I talk about well-being, since the topic is school and well-being, let me sort of take you back to school. Interestingly, I was going through something and I found that the word school actually has originated from a Greek word called skol.
Yes.
And well, you're the language expert. I really wasn't. And when I was reading that, I discovered that in Greek, it actually means leisure.
Mm.
And so to conceptualize the whole thing of learning at leisure was so would have been so beautiful.
Yeah.
Of course, over time, I think with all the language influences, historical influences, you know that better than me.
Yeah.
I think it came to be called school. I mean, I won't get into that.
Mm.
But what is there in a school? I mean, okay, we all know that it's an educational institution, it's got learning spaces, it's got learning environments, and something is happening under the direction of an adult, a teacher. I mean, that's what a school is. But what is the main component of a school? And I believe, and we know, all of us know that the main component of a school is a human being.
Correct.
It's the
Absolutely.
human mind, it's the human heart.
Correct.
Somewhere I think we focus so much on the mind, we forget the heart.
Yes. So well
So
said.
when we are talking about human beings and so many human beings of varied ages, varied backgrounds, we won't go into that. We know what a composition of a school
Yeah.
is all about.
Correct. Correct.
But the point is that all these together are causing interaction.
Mm.
And interaction is the main thing of a school. In fact, don't we always talk about, okay, make your classes interactive, interact with
Yeah.
the children,
Exactly.
make it
Exactly.
child-centered learning, and the poor teachers have got these words
Absolutely.
coming out of their ears.
Absolutely.
We've been saying all this, but yes, interactions is what makes the teaching learning process smooth,
Mm.
makes you more
Correct.
communicative. A child is observing, a child is doing, communicating, reflecting, thinking, everything he is doing.
Correct.
That's called
Correct.
interaction. Now, at the heart of this interaction is well being.
Mm.
Because your interactions are all influenced by, okay, I'm not getting into a psychological definition, but in very, very
Yeah.
simple words,
We'll keep that for
well
another
being
day.
is a balance. It's a balance.
Well-being.
It's a
Absolutely.
balance that we keep with, amongst all our domains, the physical, mental, emotional, social, moral, spiritual, all that. So a balance is maintained. And to put it even simpler, I think it is being happy, being
Mm.
positive,
Correct.
and usually being in high spirits. When I look at children, because they are the main component of a school. So when to begin with, school and well-being, I think as educators we must remember the emotional social component of children,
Mm.
because
Do you
if the
think we're
emotional
somewhere
social,
forgetting this social emotional component?
yes,
Is it
we
somewhere
are.
getting lost?
And think, the pandemic has sort of brought in this realization to us. Because when the online classes started, everybody said, oh, what fun, we'll do it from home. I don't have to get up in the morning. But over time, I think everybody realized that everybody was missing out on that social connect
Ah,
and the importance that that social connect has in all our lives. you know
correct.
so I think when we talk of wellness, we must forget all the other domains. We must look at the emotional quality of a person,
Mm.
and that is going to have, and of course, very simply put, it's like practicing healthy habits in your daily life so that you're mentally and physically fit.
So,
And
do you think in the current scenario, when children come back to school, when teachers go back to school, do you think there is going to be a kind of you use the word balance? So there is a chance of there being some kind of an imbalance, or we would probably be better off creating that balance because somewhere in the last 18 months, all of us have realized that
yeah.
these things are important. So, what is your take on that?
No, I think most of us have realized the importance of the social connect, as I said, and
Mhm.
along with that, the mental well-being of everyone, not just children. And I think with this consciousness, the stakeholders of the schools have to sort of bring it in strongly,
Mm,
that
mm.
everybody must take care, because you see, trauma, I think, is too strong a word to use. But
Yeah,
yes, 18 months of regular schooling that the children
yeah,
have lost out on,
correct, correct.
we're bound to have,
Yeah.
and there is a little fear factor even now, because I know
Mhm,
schools are sending out these forms for parents to fill in whether they would
mm,
like their children to come in. There are a
mm.
large number of parents who are still scared to send their children to school, and understandable.
Yeah,
So
understandable,
I
absolutely.
think the teachers, the other adults in the school,
Mm,
will have to sort of take this into account and be
mm,
more cautious on this, be more sensitive to this,
mm.
and deal with children a little, perhaps a little differently. At least till things don't sort of come back to the complete normal,
Exactly. So
as we
probably,
were earlier.
yeah, as we were earlier, true. But we
Yeah.
are now calling it a new term has been coined, the new
I
normal.
know. We've been hearing,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
new normal,
Oh,
rethinking, educational
really,
revolution. Oh God, we've been hearing
absolutely.
this.
The number of
One
words,
thing I
and
must share with
I
you.
find many people just getting lost in these,
Yes.
terms and words without really
Yeah.
understanding the import or the deeper level meaning of these things. So,
In fact, I must share with you the
yes.
initial, I think, a couple of months into the pandemic, and I was listening to somebody, and this was a mental health specialist, and he said that human beings are very very adaptable, and when all this is over, we'll all come back to normal, and we will not even remember all this. We didn't know it would stretch for so long.
Yeah, we didn't know it would stretch
At
for so
that time, I thought, no, no, how can we ever forget this? Because
long.
that was a very eerie time that we were in.
Yeah,
But I
absolutely.
do find that happening now. You go anywhere, where is the social distancing? Where are the
Yes.
masks?
Where are the masks? So,
I mean, that fear factor is gradually going out of our
it's
lives.
gradually kind of.
Good or bad, I will not comment on it. But
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
So when we talk of well-being, Ruma, how do we bring in something like developing emotional sensitivity, for example? So do you think as teachers, because teachers are the adults in the relationship, right? If we look only at the students and the teachers, because they are the ones who are going to be spending maximum time with each other.
together.
So, do you think that this whole element of emotional sensitivity has to be woven into the whole classroom scenario? How would you, I mean, what would be your
So,
suggestions to the teachers who are
my
watching this program? Yeah,
well, first, I'm going to take your question in two parts. I'm
okay.
going to answer it in two parts.
Yeah.
One is a subject very close to my heart, which is teacher
Mhm,
wellness.
mhm.
And I think it's something that we brush under the carpet. we sort of, I mean, I've been a teacher all my life, and
Mm,
I don't know if there are other teachers listening in, but
mm,
I always feel that somehow we give importance to so many. As an administrator, I mean, I
mm,
may have been guilty of the same thing, but
mm,
we give importance to so many things. Somewhere, I think we lose out on teacher well being, which is not right.
mm.
And if you look at the current scenario, I mean, the teachers have had no privacy.
Mm.
Classrooms have invaded their homes.
Yeah, true.
Everybody became a teacher.
Correct,
And the poor
correct.
teachers have parents telling them that you're not teaching my child
Ah,
properly.
exactly, exactly.
So, I mean, and they rose to the occasion. So I think that's wonderful.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
now they've also gone through and for them, life has been tough
Yes, yes.
because they've been working round the clock. I know earlier we would finish our meetings at 4 o'clock. Now
Mm,
we decide to have meetings at 5 in the evening
mm,
because everybody's at home. We can have a meeting at any time.
mm.
I don't know
Correct,
whether.
correct.
So
Absolutely.
for teachers, it's really been a very, very long, drawn out struggle.
Mm. Correct,
And
correct.
we've jumped into, all kinds of virtual platforms and things. So I think first the stakeholders also must look at teacher well-being.
Mm.
It's very important at the moment for one is for teachers to take care of themselves.
Correct.
Come what may,
Come what
one
may.
must take
Absolutely.
care of. I mean, we can discuss this at some other
Mm,
time, but take
mm,
care of oneself. Secondly,
mm.
I think that the others in the school, the other whether it's the school management or whoever,
Yeah, yeah.
I think one needs to understand that the teachers need a lot of handholding right now
Yes.
in terms of pedagogy, in terms of curriculum. Uh, I think it's important to allow them to air their opinions,
Mm,
share their experiences. They must feel valued. They must
mm.
feel connected. We don't do that most of the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And because only then will a sense of ownership or a sense of the pride that okay, this is my school, this is my class, these are
Correct,
my
correct,
children.
correct, correct.
So I think teacher well-being is very important. If we are
Very
looking
important.
constantly at student well-being, we must
Ah,
look at teacher well-being.
so well
Only
said.
then will you get
All
a happy
all the
school.
teachers in this group are going to be very, very happy about it. That
No,
their
it's
well.
something I really believe in, and I think it's
Yeah,
very
yeah,
very
yeah. I
important
agree with you. I
because we
totally
are looking at good learning outcomes. We want
correct,
success in terms of
correct.
whatever the vision of the school is,
School is.
and we want to bring out good, responsible human
Mm,
beings, global
correct.
citizens. So let's also look at the people who are actually doing it in the classroom. If I
Yeah,
am the principal, I'm not going into the classroom.
correct,
There's
correct.
somebody else who's going into the classroom. So I think we need to do that.
Yeah.
Now, that said, emotional sensitivity, if you ask me, I
Mm,
think it's a boon.
mm,
To be emotionally sensitive is a boon. It's very simply emotional sensitivity is the ease with which you handle your emotions. It's the ease with which you respond to a certain situation or a certain emotional situation. Now, there are people who are very sensitive, but they're not sensitive about other people. There are some
ah,
who are sensitive to their own feelings. How are they going to be sensitive to others?
correct. I fully
So I
appreciate.
think it's important for everyone to be a little sensitive about themselves
Mm, mm,
and about others. So it's important to understand yourself. So when I was talking about wellness,
mm.
this is what I meant that allow
Ah,
teachers to understand themselves, only then will they understand the other
other.
person.
Correct, correct.
And I don't know, I don't know whether you agree, but I think that being sensitive is a positive emotion.
Absolutely,
It's a
absolutely.
positive emotion.
It all
And
that is what something. I mean, you have to tell me that that is what something that later on leads you to become a compassionate and
yes,
empathetic
absolutely.
individual, isn't it?
So being sensitive is it's a very positive emotion, and I think one must make an effort to develop this skill. And I call it a skill because it is. It's the need
Ah,
of the
it
hour,
is a
and
correct,
it
correct.
can be learned like any other school, any other
Mm,
skill. Of course, it's
mm,
not easy. It's
mm, mm,
easier
mm.
said than done because you have to make a conscious effort.
Conscious effort. Correct.
It's easier not to do it, but you have to make a conscious
Yeah,
effort.
yeah.
It helps if you observe people well
Correct.
and try and experience what the other person could be feeling. Because when
Mm,
you allow yourself to be sensitive,
mm.
you can empathize. And then
Ah,
you are better capable of making a difference in somebody's life.
life. And
And
here in
isn't that
this case,
what
that
teaching is all
somebody,
about?
yeah, and in this case, that somebody is the student in the teacher's
Yes.
classroom, isn't it?
So, and I believe, that being emotionally sensitive is actually a gift.
Yes, yes,
So if you
absolutely.
have the gift, then use it. And
Mm,
I today in this forum, if I can communicate one idea to
mm,
anybody who's
right.
listening in, that accept the if you are sensitive, accept it
Mm,
with a smile. Don't reject it. Don't hate it. Because if you learn
correct.
to manage your emotions, you will find joy. You will find peace. Cherish
Absolutely.
the emotional sensitivity,
Cherish the emotions.
because one more thing I want to say, because to continue to be emotionally sensitive you require courage.
Courage. I have so
So
well said.
get that strength to stay tuned
Mm,
in. It's very,
mm,
very important to
mm.
stay tuned in.
Yeah, and only I think only such a teacher who is first aware of her own emotions, her
Yes,
own, as we say, the strengths and weaknesses, right?
yes,
You're
yes,
able to, what are your strengths, and you are willing to work on your weakness,
yes,
is a teacher who would be able to somewhere understand that child in the classroom.
yes,
Because
yes,
there are going to be 30 or 40 of them, and each one of them is going to be expressing things very differently,
absolutely.
right? So,
Absolutely. See, that's where if you're aware of multiple intelligences, you can use it in the classroom.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
In fact, at one of the workshops, I remember one of the teachers asked me, "Ma'am, why do you use the word weakness?" We were talking
Mm.
about strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I asked her, I said, "You suggest another name for weakness." And I don't know if she's listening in, but she suggested, "Ma'am, something that I can develop better."
Ah,
And I really liked that. I said,
yeah,
"Yeah,
yeah.
something
Mm,
that is well developed and
mm.
something that you need to work on
Correct, correct.
so that it becomes better." So why
It
use the
becomes,
word weakness at all?
yeah, yeah. True, true. Something that we can work on, something that we
Yeah,
can develop, right?
right.
So, from all this emerges one word which we haven't spoken about, but which is staring at our faces is stress, right?
Mm. The
So,
monster.
today, yeah, the monster, they say the elephant in the room. So,
Right.
today the parents are stretched, the students are stretched, the teachers are doubling up. They are teachers in the school, they are parents as well. So, how do you think this whole thing of stress can we turn it on its head and say that, I can use this stress as a tool?
I think most of us do that, but we don't realize we do it.
Mm,
Uh, okay, let me put it this way. Uh, as human beings, we sort of we naturally crave comfort.
mm,
We crave a sense of security. We want a sense of comfort. We thrive in certainty. So
correct.
whenever there is some kind of uncertainty, it unnerves us. And the
Mm,
last few months we've been, I won't say thriving, but there's been so much uncertainty.
correct, correct.
And uncertainty is is because nothing is predictable. We don't know where we are going. So
Mm,
there's bound to be some amount of stress, definitely. So I've always felt that there are two sources of stress. One is what I can control, and one is what I cannot control.
mm.
Now, I cannot control when this great friend, the COVID virus, will go away.
Yeah,
We are
correct.
all hoping it's halfway gone, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Mm,
Okay. But what I can control is my own emotion.
mm,
So, why don't I make an effort to control what is within my hands and
mm,
control it? Stress is a monster, definitely. Everybody calls it a monster. But not all stress is distress, no? We
mm,
also have good stress. We call it eustress, but we also have
mm.
good stress. Now, if I have to go out somewhere and I want to wear something which is new. I'm excited about it. Isn't that stress?
Yeah.
I mean, that's positive stress. But I
Positive.
will not use the word stress with it because I'm happy.
Mm,
But if I have to go somewhere which I don't want to go, then
Ah,
the monster in my head becomes
right.
huge.
Yeah.
So why do we always think of stress as a monster? Let's think of stress as something that motivates us to work,
Mm.
that helps us to go about our daily lives. Every
Correct.
day there is stress. I have to finish this deadline. I have this. I have to do that.
Mm.
I've got something on the gas, etc., etc. But
Mm.
we're still functioning. And when we
Correct.
function with a smile, we are using all our stress positively. So
Yeah.
stress can be made positive
Mm.
because when you respond to a challenge positively, your stressor is something that is positive.
Mm.
So why don't we think of it like that? If we do that, and
So can
there are
you
these.
give some suggestion to
Yeah,
the
I
teachers
was, I was going to
on
say
this?
that
So,
I can go on and on about stress
yeah,
management.
but
Sorry,
maybe one odd
but yeah,
suggestion
I
for
was
take.
thinking. I thought that maybe I should just remind you. It's something that all of you know. We have the 4 A's of stress management.
Mm.
Avoid, alter, accept, and adapt.
Okay.
Either you avoid it.
Mm.
If
Mm.
you can't, you try
Mm.
and alter it.
Mm.
You can't avoid, can't alter. We have to accept it.
Mm.
If I can't accept it, I adapt to it. Isn't that
Mm.
what we did during COVID when the
Yeah.
lockdown happened? I
Correct.
mean, we tried to avoid it. We didn't have a
Uh,
choice. We tried to alter it. There was no choice. We
yeah.
all sat at home. We had no choice. We had to be locked up in our own houses.
Yeah. So we
So
adapted finally, right? We accepted
finally,
and
we adapted to it.
correct. Correct.
So maybe at some other time, so that we can do a stress management
Yeah.
thing.
Stress
But
management. Absolutely.
stress can be made positive. That's the point I'm trying to say.
Uh,
Everything doesn't have to sort of, uh, you know, um, bring us down.
mm.
Another thing that we must remember is we must stop living in that what if. I call it the what if syndrome.
Yeah.
What if this happens?
Yeah.
What if I
Correct.
go there? All the time in our head that what if is going on.
What if? Yeah.
So I
What
think
if
if
I'm
we,
late? All
yeah,
the
what
what
if
if
I'm
I'm
late?
what if?
Okay,
Correct.
if I think I'm going to be late, I might as well leave 5 minutes earlier from my house.
Exactly.
So let
Exactly.
me take corrective action.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is such a habit that even
Correct.
for your thing, I think I logged in well before time because
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
so I might be
Yeah, yeah,
late.
I came in at 4:50 and you were already there.
So I mean, I'm just saying. So why should we focus on positives?
Mhm.
Be grateful.
Yeah,
One beautiful way of, you know, when you do the 4 A's, be grateful. Be
yeah.
grateful. Let's look around us and take greater action. There's
Correct,
no other way out. I'm
correct.
stressed. I'm stressed. I'm stressed. बोल के कुछ नहीं होता है.
कुछ नहीं होता. And then we tend to only
Yes.
procrastinate, right? We
Yes.
just keep doing that, and there's
Yeah.
no end to it, right?
So
So,
why do that?
mm,
So well,
mm,
I have identify my source of
mm,
stress and work
mm.
towards it and deal with
Correct,
it.
correct. So
I think we
everybody
need
is
to.
commenting on the 4 A's. There is Sudeepa, there is Radhika, and Shubha Mukherjee says you are pulling the right string.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So
Okay.
emotional
Okay.
sensitivity is important. How true? Accept your emotions. So people have already started commenting on the
Yeah, I
YouTube.
can
You
see. I
can
mean, I
see.
can. Very
You can
nice
also
to get these comments.
yeah, yeah. So,
Yes.
so how we
If
can,
there are teachers in the audience,
yes,
please,
there are
dear
teachers.
teachers,
Uh,
please put the
uh,
4 A's into practice. I'm
yeah,
not telling you to accept every
yeah,
situation. No,
correct, correct.
you have to use your own,
Mm,
your own thinking process as to what you're going to accept and what you're not going to accept. But
correct.
definitely,
That really helps. So we
yes,
have to learn to use stress as it. And I have heard, especially we have all children in the corporate sector, and they all talk of stress as a very positive tool rather
yes.
than looking at it as a negative thing. And many people very openly admit that I work better when I am under, when
You
there
know,
is stress.
don't all of us.
Don't all
I
of
mean,
us. So that's a point I was trying to
because
make. Most of
only when
us,
I make a when I have a deadline, uh, you know,
correct.
I mean, even at this age, if I want to do something, I also said, "Cha, I've got time, I've got time." And then one fine day I realized, no, I don't have time.
Correct,
So
correct,
we all work, we have to self create our deadlines, I think.
yeah, absolutely.
So I
So,
think a
yeah. Hmm.
bit of stress
And
every.
so, from stress, that being kind of really, we have tried to pull it apart and understand
Yeah,
stress. And I only hoping that all our fellow teachers here on the group, take this away with them today evening and
I hope
feel,
so too.
yeah, as a
No, I
positive.
would also like to tell them that if they're here,
Mm,
remember that emotional sensitivity is a gift.
yeah, very true, very true.
Remember that, and you're blessed if you're emotionally sensitive.
Sensitive, correct. It is not a weakness, but it is.
It's not a weakness. It's
It's
not a
not a
weakness.
weakness.
Not at all.
So another word that keeps coming back or keeps, um, resounding in our ears. Everybody talks, and this we have seen even the media use in a different sense. Whenever anything, a terrorist attack happens or anything negative, oh, we are very resilient. Okay, we are a resilient
Yeah.
population. We will bounce back. So this whole thing of developing resilience, bouncing back. Uh, do you think being resilient is actually good for us, or what is it? What is, I keep getting this thought in my head. Okay, so I'm resilient. I'm able to do this. I'm able to hold, and I'm able to move on after a tragedy or a trauma. Okay, so is it a good emotion or is it something negative? Ruma, please throw light on that.
The very fact, Sudha, that today you and I are sitting here and talking across two different parts of the country,
Yeah, true,
and we
true.
are talking, I think we are very resilient.
Mm,
The okay, now resilient, maybe not for the younger people who are listening to us, but for our generation to learn technology,
yeah,
to use technology
correct.
has been a huge challenge.
Yes.
And I think it is our resilience that has brought us here.
Mm.
Because resilience, as you very rightly said, is the ability to bounce back.
Bounce.
And yes, we as human beings must be resilient because we really don't know what we are going to face when.
Mm.
And our friend COVID, as
Mm,
I like to call COVID our friend, because he or she. I mean, let me not get into
yeah,
gender
yeah,
inequality here,
yeah,
but all around us, no. So,
correct.
well, so we've learned to bounce. Now, if you look at the way places have opened, people are going out. We are resilient. We've gone back to
Yeah,
what.
yeah,
But when we talk of resilience here in a school
yeah.
setting,
In a
I
school
think
setting.
the resilient learner is somebody who uh, has those skills, those strategies, which he or she is able to use in a new setup
Mm,
and handle that setup better, so
better.
that what
Mm,
learning is better. So resilience as a skill is very, very important.
important.
And resilience is something, again, like sensitivity, resilience is something that we need to develop,
Mm,
because otherwise we are going to break down at the first trauma. Now, if you
mm.
even look at the last 1.5 years, so many entrepreneurs have emerged. So
Correct,
many
correct.
new kinds of
Absolutely.
businesses have emerged. They were
Yeah,
all
yeah.
people who were resilient, who thought on their
Mm,
feet, who
correct.
decided that, okay, that simple thing of, I know in Mumbai, there this entire concept of the dabbawala is very, very, it's an old thing that's been happening and it's there.
Correct,
In the north,
correct.
it wasn't so, you know, it was not so popular. But
Yeah,
look
yeah.
at the number of homes that have. One second. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. No problem. So teachers, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yes, continue,
My
please.
dog just decided to.
That's okay.
So I think, what was I talking about? Resilience. Now, when we
Yeah.
talk about resilience, I think that for resilience, there are two things that are important, and which is what we need to cultivate both in ourselves and in our children. One is the growth mindset.
Mm, mm,
That's
mm,
very, very important, because if we don't have the growth mindset, it's going to get tough.
mm,
One is the growth mindset, and the
mm,
other is academic resilience.
mm,
Now, I'd like to just clear, I'm sure everybody knows this. Growth
mm,
mindset is, when I'm constantly wanting to improve, grow, learn new skills, adapt to a new situation, the word growth.
mm.
Academic resilience is when we teach our children to deal with failures and setbacks. Because most of the time, our children, look at a child who's doing extremely well in class.
Mm.
So out of he's always getting a 49 on 50, and one fine day he gets a 48 on 50, and heavens fall.
Correct,
When
correct,
we
correct.
teach our children to be academically resilient, that means failures and setbacks in academics
In academics,
is, is,
correct.
an, is an important part of your life. So I think that if we can
Mm.
cultivate, we would make our children more resilient than they already are, because it's a trait that we all have. So
Correct.
we just need to hone it and
Yeah, yeah,
um, make it. And when we talk about resilience, there is always a choice. In fact,
yeah.
I'm reminded of this famous parable where once a student asked the Buddha once that when the
Mm, mm,
first arrow hits you, it's
mm,
painful. When the
mm.
second arrow hits, is it painful?
Uh,
And his answer was that when the
mm.
first arrow hits, you don't have a choice.
You don't
But
have
when
it.
the second arrow hits,
Mm.
you should be ready with your response,
Yeah, you should be ready.
because you
Correct,
should have made a choice by then,
correct.
that am I going to respond to this or no. So when we
Uh,
learn to make these kind of choices,
choices, correct.
we are becoming more and more resilient, because I'm
More.
learning that I need to respond to this and I need to ignore this.
Mm.
So, so that if we look at the entire conversation that we've had,
Yeah,
wellness, sensitivity, stress,
yeah.
resilience, all sort of offshoots of the same thing.
Same thing. Correct, correct, correct.
And
Absolutely.
so I think we
Yeah,
need to
when
deal
we
with
talk
it
of
with them
well-being,
all.
I think I mean, when we talk of school, when we talk of well-being in school, teacher and student well-being. So
Yeah.
what is important is that when the teachers and the students go back to the school setup, they need to be, as you said, they need to be able to use their stress positively. They need
Yes.
to be resilient, and they need to be able to handle this whole academic, this monster. Okay,
Yes.
teachers may
Yes.
not agree with the two of us, but then the push for the grades, the marks, we now all that has been, see, children were studying for the entire year, and at the end we had to come up with a very different solution when we
Yes.
said that whatever you have done will be taken into account. Some mathematical calculation was arrived at, and
Yes.
grades were given. So all this goes to prove that um, ultimately it is how you, how much resilience you
Yes.
show, how positive you are, and the outcome will come. So learning has to be at the core, right? You said in the beginning, right? So would you like to, at this point, kind of bring all these thoughts together, Ruma?
Okay. I can see a very nice comment. Alka has said resilience is always positive. I
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
when stress becomes positive, resilience
Yeah,
automatically comes forward.
correct.
So I think you're absolutely right. Uh,
Mm,
to put it, I think with all this that has been happening, uh,
mm,
one of the positives I feel of the COVID situation has
mm,
been that schooling has undergone a rethinking, you know,
correct.
and it has become an opportunity for several long overdue reforms to come in,
Mm,
which will help the students better. And that is what the national education policy is all about. And we are looking at an education now that will make the children more resilient, which is more equitable.
more
I mean,
equitable.
I know that we've had a lot of issues in our country with not
Mm,
everyone having access to
mm,
internet and etc. etc. We won't go into that, but definitely we need to look at a more equitable system.
mm,
So I think as the children have started coming back, and very soon everybody will be back, I think the focus has to be on rebuilding the basics of children instead of immediately jumping into an exam oriented system.
Mm.
And I know that a lot of schools are already doing that. There are
Mm.
a lot of effort is going into this. We also need to remember, that in our country, we had a lot of people, I mean, a large number of entries at school,
Mm.
whereas learning outcomes were not met the
Mm.
way they should
Yes,
have been met.
they should have been correct.
Maybe the situation has become worse.
Mm.
So that's something we need to be aware of and
Aware
look at,
of.
a little more seriously. I
Mm.
think way forward, if I want to sum it up, I'd say we
Yeah,
have learned
yeah.
to be flexible.
Mm.
We,
Yes.
we must be able to change from plan A to plan B very fast
Mm.
because we did not have a plan B. The plan B came up in a week. But
Yeah.
now that we know that we can shift from plan A to plan B, we should be able to take that. We have to accept that, virtual platforms are here to stay. So whether it's
Mm.
hybrid learning, whether it's blended learning, whether it is an alternate, your flipped classrooms, whichever way. So now that teachers have become technologically savvy, children have
Yeah.
also explored this. These are here to stay. Of course, they will never replace the classroom. They
Classroom.
can
Correct.
never replace the teacher student connect. And it
Correct.
should never be replaced,
It
also.
should never. Correct.
But as
Absolutely.
the children come back, I think apart from other things, we must look at their mental health, look at their.
Mm.
And when I say mental health, I'm not saying only about the children. We need to look at the teachers' mental health. We
Teachers
need to
will be. Yeah.
hold
We
their
agree to that.
hand with their curriculum, with the
Correct.
pedagogies, the new pedagogies that have,
They
sort of
never
emerged.
really.
Not new,
Yeah.
but there's a
Yeah.
lot more emphasis on them.
And a lot more emphasis on.
Yes.
No.
And the one more thing that I must say here that, when we were doing classes online, completely online, the teachers had a great connect with the parents because WhatsApp groups, mail, whatever. Of
Correct.
course, the poor teachers often went crazy because there were messages coming in at all hours of the
All
day.
correct.
But
Correct.
okay, not maybe to that extent, but I think that personal connect that they've developed with the children shouldn't
Yeah.
go.
That should probably continue. I mean, I
That
used to
and
hear comments like,
each one, yeah, and each one can do it in whichever way they want
yeah,
because that
absolutely.
has a huge bearing on the child's
Yeah,
well-being.
yeah. The involvement of the parent as the most important arm of, if I may use the word, of
Yes,
the student
yeah, of
teacher.
the triangle, no,
Yeah, the triangle,
the
right?
teacher,
So
parent,
the
child,
teacher, parent,
yeah,
child
of the triangle.
triangle. So they are an important arm, and they should get involved,
Yeah.
and they should be part of the process. Why should they get isolated? And why should
So
it be just
no,
a school diary
also
that is
because maybe
involved?
not as much as they were doing because
Yeah,
this was
yeah,
a different
not
thing.
this, correct,
Yeah,
not to
but
this
in
extent.
whichever way, whatever is convenient, whatever
Correct.
you uh, can, but I think that they should keep up that personal connect.
Yeah, true.
That is very important.
That
And
is
of
important.
course, I firmly believe I'm from the
Mm.
old school, maybe whatever, that there is nothing that can replace the blackboard and the chalk and the child.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And the
So,
teacher personally connecting with the children. And so
children,
I'm
correct.
hoping that children are back as fast as possible and
Correct.
everybody comes
And to
back
see
to
that
their,
smile on their
yeah.
faces, to be back
Those
in that
classes
space.
buzzing with
Yeah,
children and a little
absolutely.
noise in the school. Not noise,
Correct.
a little talk in the school.
Fog in the school, the murmur, the
The
whisper,
murmur in the school,
the
the
happy,
bell, the
the
bell
bell.
ringing. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
the
The
children
bell,
and
such a
teachers,
connect, right?
yes.
I mean, bell
No, even,
bajayegi,
even for the
that.
teachers, I mean, the only bell that they never liked to hear, I feel, is when the recess got over.
Yeah, when the results got absolutely,
Otherwise,
absolutely
I think all other bells were
correct,
always welcome.
correct.
So
So
I
with
think
that, I think we have, kind of
I hope I haven't
done a
spoken more
fair
than my
amount of
scheduled
conversation.
time.
Yeah, no, that's okay. And we have done quite a bit of conversation. And teachers, the floor is open,
Yeah,
and
if you want to
I
ask
have the
anything.
comment section open. So if you have any questions for Ruma that you would, want her to specifically address or take up, please you can post it, and we will take it up. And we'll try and
There is a comment here which I really like. It's
yeah,
from Shubha Mukherjee, and
yeah.
she says, "Ma'am, we teachers have proved
Yes, yes. I
that,
said
and
that.
we are
Yeah,
very proud of ourselves."
absolutely.
Very true.
So nice.
But
Yeah, so
there's a
nice,
word of
Shiva,
caution
actually.
here, Shubha.
Uh,
Continue to do the good work
yeah.
that you're doing.
Mm.
Yeah,
Beautifully put,
very
and
true.
that
It's
really
very
shows
nice.
the positive emotion and the whole
Yes.
positive attitude that
Yeah. We're
very,
all
very,
very proud of the teacher, the
yeah,
educators, the
yeah,
teaching community.
really, absolutely.
Yes.
So, anybody has any suggestion, question, please feel free.
Yeah. If there are any questions, we can take them up. Otherwise,
Yeah, yeah. As of now,
I don't
I
see any
don't
questions coming
see
in.
anything really coming up.
Maybe they could tell us what they would like us to converse about next time.
Yeah, yeah, that could be also a topic. Puja, Shubha, that also you could do. You could put down. Uh, Shubha has responded, "Yes, ma'am." What do you want us to talk about in the next conversation? As in when I bring Ruma on board.
We can have some idea about what.
Yeah, yeah, that'll really help.
I think we can.
No questions, ma'am, but it was great listening to you. That's what Beena says.
Thank you.
Okay. No, thank you, Beena. I always say that when people say there are no questions, can you please repeat the four A's as I joined a bit late? Okay. The four A's are
Sudha, would you
avoid,
like to?
right?
Yes. Avoid,
Avoid,
alter,
alter,
accept,
accept,
and adapt.
adapt.
And if you think carefully, it follows that order.
Yeah, yeah.
Try
Vijay,
and put it in any
I put it on the
situation.
chat for you, Vijay, because I had created a banner, so he must have seen that banner.
Yeah,
You know,
okay.
how to. Okay, Shubha Mukherjee says how to handle stress. So Ruma, that's for you.
Try the four A's.
Okay.
And I think, to tell you very briefly, first try and identify the origin of stress. To yourself, you don't have to tell anybody. Sometimes, the stress is, we create the stress ourselves. So if you can identify the source of stress and then apply the four A's, usually it works. And if it doesn't, then feel free to get in touch with me. We can talk about this. Not an issue. But it generally works. But it's
So I
important for you to identify the source of stress. And I'm sure, I mean, if we reach a point where I'm not able to identify my source of stress, then maybe it's a more serious issue. And then, there are other interventions that happen. And I think another thing that I said is don't live in the what if.
Hmm.
That what if takes away everything from us.
Yes.
In the online class, parents get less restless.
Yes.
How to
How to?
handle the situation? First of all, are parents sitting in with the children when you're taking classes? I think that's true only in the very small classes.
Ah.
I mean, the for the very small children.
Yeah, Pooja, are they sitting in the classes when you are handling? And if they are sitting in classes of students from class three upwards, I don't think that should be happening,
Yeah,
isn't it?
that should not be happening. And secondly, I think telling the parent very politely that
Yeah.
you can be in my class, but don't sort of transfer your stress to the child. Let the
Mm.
child be in the class, and later you can make the child do the work. Because what
Mm.
happens is, if you are giving out in the junior classes, if you're giving out some work, whatever it
Mm.
is, if make a word, do some sums or whatever, the parent is sitting there and is sitting on the child's head.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Finish it, finish it, finish it, because and then they're looking at the time and they're doing all that. So I think that if that is what you mean by restless, then and you know, yeah, class
Class
one and two,
one
yes.
and 1 and 2 means
So
they
so
must
I
be
think
sitting.
it's important to tell parents that look, this class is for the child,
Mm.
so you sit in,
Mm.
but let the child do their own work, because ultimately these children have to go into classes. No, the parent is not going to be
Correct.
there to do the work for them.
Mm.
And maybe later, as part of homework, let them sit and talk to the
Correct.
children. So I think speaking to the parent should help.
Yeah, yeah. The
Some
parents
over,
have to
yeah, and
watch
they're over
out.
anxious. No, some of
Yeah,
the parents are over anxious.
yeah, over anxious. And I believe in one of the webinars, a teacher shared that the grandmother was also present in one of the classes. How do you like
Yes.
it? And trying to tell ki, Bhaiya, my grandchild cannot do this and do that. So trying to interfere with the process. So, uh,
A
so
grandmother should do the grandmotherly things. She's finished
yeah,
with her parenting.
yeah,
I'm a
exactly,
grandmother. I'd rather
exactly.
enjoy my. I'd rather spoil the children, the grandchildren.
Yeah.
Parenting is a parent's job, no, not mine.
Yeah, not exactly, not the grandparents' job. So I think we can very politely, as teachers, tell them
Yeah.
that it'll be nice if you are a grandparent.
I
So
hope my children are not listening into what I have just said.
same here. I also have grandkids, so hope they are none of them are listening. So I think we are.
Would you try that? I think it should work.
Wow. Yeah,
Talking to
Pooja,
the
try
parent,
that.
I think it
Yeah,
should work.
it should work. And
Because they
anyway,
don't know. It's their own anxiety, no?
yeah.
So they become restless.
We will bring them to one of our conversations for parents.
Yeah, we could do
Ruma will
that.
tell the parents what they
Yes, not
should
to
be
be
doing,
anxious.
right? So,
Yes. And
on
generally,
that
the
note,
overachiever parents get anxious.
huh? On
Parents who
overachieve.
are overachievers
Yes,
themselves
yes,
get
yes, yes.
anxious.
Yeah, yeah. The IT fellows and all these young
Anybody who is
women and
an
men,
over anxious parent will get more worried.
yeah, and who are
An
achievers
overachiever, sorry.
themselves,
An overachiever.
overachievers themselves, they are
Yeah.
the ones who try to
Yes.
do all this. So I can see that the teachers switching on the camera is another issue with the senior classes, says Jashoda Sundar. Uh,
Why just with the senior classes? I find the little ones also doing it. They put their
uh,
phone on mute, and
uh,
the videos are off and their audios are on mute, and then they're playing around.
correct,
So I
correct.
think when children do that, there are other ways of handling online classes. You know, make it
Uh,
interesting, make it interactive.
Yeah, see,
It,
ultimately, as Ruma said, if I may just add to what she said, the crux of the whole thing is to create a classroom, whether online or physical, to create a classroom where they are rooted to the seats and they
yeah,
want
it
to listen to you. And they should know that if they don't, there is something that they are going to miss. So it is what are we bringing to the table as a teacher, so that is the constant,
that
battle
little personal connect even on the online. If the
online.
child has been missing for three
Uh,
days, the fourth day you see the child, ask, what happened to you? Why were you not there? I missed
correct,
you.
correct. Uh,
That's it. He'll follow you. He's going to be so happy that the teacher noticed that I wasn't there in class.
correct. Beena says,
So,
ma'am, that's a great idea. You could have a session for parents.
Abhina, we'd love to, but the thing is that parents will not come.
If you can get parents together, 40 of them, we will be happy
We'll
to
do
come on
it
board. Yeah, we'll do it. Teacher
because they
Majai
don't
will,
like to hear these things, no?
they don't like to hear these things. Exactly, exactly. So I think we can go on and on, but the
Yeah, I
clock
think we should
shows
now call
otherwise.
it a
Yeah.
day.
So it was great having you, Ruma, and
Thank you so
sparing,
much.
thank you for sparing your time, your valuable time. Ruma is so busy, but she very readily agreed. And yeah, Padmini Sri Raman is an ex-principal, Ruma, if I may just,
Right.
stop. And yes, we must have a session for parents. Yes, Padmini, you should plan one and let us know. We are all for it. That's the whole point of this platform also. So, Ruma, I really take this opportunity. I don't want to be very formal, but yeah, but
Please.
really, really, thanks a ton. And I can see that, on my iPad, where I'm watching it on YouTube as well, I can see that there are 41 teachers. I mean, there are quite a number of them watching it live as this at this point of time, and that itself speaks that it's been a great evening, and Friday evening at that. But I'm sure teachers can go back and uh, think over it, mull over it, and uh, chew the
Definitely.
cud, if I may use the expression. Chew the cud
Yes.
and
Yes.
see what are the takeaways. And this is the whole endeavor of Teacher Magi, to bring in experts. And you know you can all write to me. That I'm just posting my email ID, sudha at teachermagi.com. And feel free to share your thoughts, anything that you want us to do for you. The whole idea is to connect with the teacher. The teacher is at the core. We all have been teachers here. Ruma has been a teacher, I have been a teacher, and of course we then became principals and vice principals, whatever. But at the heart, at the core, we are all
Once a
teachers.
teacher, always a teacher, no?
Once a teacher, always a teacher, and all of you too. So lovely having all of you. Lovely having you, Ruma. Thank you once again, and we'll continue the conversations. So I will be posting whom we are going to be talking to next, but it's a surprise, and you all would enjoy it. So please be with us. So great seeing all of you. Thank you, Ruma.
Thank
Happy
you so much.
Navratri. Happy
Happy
Navratri
Navratri.
to all of you, and enjoy
Thank you.
your Navratris and
Thank you,
have a good
teachers,
time.
for coming in,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ruma. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.